What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to Talkin Sports with Jake. Hope we're all doing well. Let's start with the NBA playoffs. Pacers beat the Bucks 119 to 118. Come from behind win, went down big early, but come from behind to win in overtime. Halliburton with a layup late in the overtime to win it for the Indiana Pacers. They win the series in 5 games. They will face the Cleveland Cavaliers in the Eastern Conference semifinals. Halliburton, 26 points, 9 assists, and 3 steals in the game. 30, 20, and 13 for Giannis. Actually had an incredible series, but Bucks fall in 5 games. I think the Bucks really need to look at themselves in the mirror and just be like, something has to change. Obviously, you did win a championship a few years ago. Since then, has not been a lot of success. You lose 2 years ago. You lose in the first round to the Miami Heat, who was an 8 seed. In 5 games, nonetheless. You did not have Giannis for a couple of games in that series. He doesn't get hurt in that series, but he was there for the last 2 games, and you still lose. And then last year, Giannis misses the entire series of an injury. Dame also misses a game or two. I think he missed 2 games in that series. You lose to Indiana in 6, but this year you lose in 5 to Indiana. Of course, Damian Lillard doesn't play game 1. Finally comes back for game 2, but then tears his Achilles in game 4, and losing in 5. To me, they never should have made the trade for Damian Lillard. I like Damian Lillard a lot. He's a great player. Probably a Hall of Fame talent. But I do think he's a bit overrated all the time. He has not really accomplished anything. He's been to the conference finals, once in his career, I get. The Portland Trailblazers did not do a great job building around him in Portland. The West was very stacked for a while when he was there. And but also he's had a lot of injuries throughout his career, especially on this back half of it. Now, torn Achilles at his age, he's probably going to miss all of next season. I know he said he's not coming out that way, but it's hard to see him coming back after missing a season next year, most likely. The exact same player. And just, from that trade, they just have no depth. They can't really stop anybody on defense. And Doc Rivers, he should be fired by the end of the day today. He probably won't be, but he should be. He is not a good coach. He's still living off of that championship with the Boston Celtics 17 years ago, back in 2008. Well, that's one of the greatest teams of all time. You had Kevin Garnett, who was a Hall of Famer. Ray Allen's a Hall of Famer. Paul Pierce is a Hall of Famer. Rajon Rondo was a great player. Kendrick Perkins on that team as well. He was an impactful player at the center position. And, he probably should have won multiple chips with that team, and he didn't. And he's blowing lead after lead after lead. He's not a good coach. One of the most overrated coaches in sports, certainly in basketball. Not only all time, but currently as well. Really not a good coach, and much what's going to happen with Giannis. Is he going to be traded? Is that on the table? No, I know he's meeting with the Bucks brass to discuss what the next steps are for the Milwaukee Bucks. I don't know what really they're going to do. They don't really have a ton of money to move around and bring in players. I mean, they traded Chris Middleton for Kyle Kuzma, which didn't make any sense. They got Middleton is injured a lot at the end of his career. Injuries have really derailed him, but he's a better player than Kyle Kuzma. That trade didn't make any sense either. And they just extended the GM, John Horst, too. So I'm not really sure what their plan is, but they got to do something different because this is now 3 straight first-round exits for a team that has the firepower to go to the finals pretty much every single season. 3 straight first-round exits after a championship. That's just not you've been through a lot of coaches as well. It's just not smart team building by any means. So Bucks need to look for themselves in the mirror. But Pacers move on to the Eastern Conference semifinals. Pistons stay alive another day. Beat the Knicks 106 to 103. Okay, 24-8-8 in that game. Knicks just did not bring enough to win that game. Jalen Brunson didn't really play well. Towns didn't really play well. When all your top players are not shooting the basketball well, you're not going to win the game. Pistons survive another day. 106-103. Game 6 shifts back to Detroit. Moving on, Boston Celtics finish off the Orlando Magic 120-89. Big second half from them as they pull away. Win by 31 in Game 5. They finish off the Orlando Magic in 5 games. 35-8-10 for Jason Tatum. Franz Wagner 25 in the loss. Boston Celtics move on to the Eastern Conference semifinals. They will play the winner of the Detroit Pistons and New York Knicks in the second round of the NBA playoffs. Magic, tiny bit of a step back was here last year. Kind of came out of nowhere and broke out, made the playoffs, took the Cleveland Cavaliers to Game 7 in the first round of the Eastern Conference playoffs. If Franz Wagner gave them anything in that Game 7 last year, they probably would have won that game and beaten the Cavs in 7. This year, had a lot of injuries this year. Paolo Banchero missed a lot of time. Franz Wagner missed a lot of time. Something else that didn't work out for them. Contavious Caldwell-Pope, they brought him in to really bring some floor spacing to that team. He did not bring the same floor spacing that they thought he was going to bring. I think they were kind of fooled by what they saw in Denver. Keep in mind, he's playing next to Nikola Jokic. He's going to have open looks all game, especially when Jamal Murray's out there on the court with him and Michael Porter Jr. is out there on the court with him. Two guys that are also dangerous scorers and floor spacers in their own right. On the Orlando Magic, he's really the only legit, consistent three-point threat over there. Their teams were able to just zero in on him more, and that's why his production dipped. So he did not bring the same floor spacing he brought in Denver. So they regressed a little bit, finished at 500. They end up in the play-in. They sneak out of it to play Boston, but as expected, they're losing 5 games to the Boston Celtics. Their season is over. They're going to have to continue to keep building. They have a nice core in place. I think Paolo Banchero is an incredible player. I think Franz Wagner is a very good player. You have a lot of our young pieces over there. Wendell Carter and Jalen Suggs and Cole Anthony. They have a nice core over there. However, I think they do need one more legit, at least, offensive weapon over there. They're very good defensively. They have a nice young team, but they do not have enough offense to make a run in the Eastern Conference playoffs. And then the Denver Nuggets get past the Los Angeles Clippers, 131-115. Big game from Jamal Murray, 43 points and 7 assists, 29-11 in the loss for Kawhi. Denver now up 3-2 as they push the Clippers to the brink of elimination. And then games that are happening tonight. Golden State Warriors face off against the Houston Rockets at 7:30 on TNT, as well as True TV and Max. Warriors lead 3-1. And then the Minnesota Timberwolves face off against the Los Angeles Lakers on the same network at 10 o'clock tonight. Minnesota Timberwolves are up 3-1, and if they win that game, I will have a lot of fun Thursday afternoon on Talk Sports with Jake when it comes to the Lakers and LeBron losing in 5 games, if that does come to fruition. Also, congratulations to Stephon Castle. He wins Rookie of the Year. He had a great season. He was a high pick by the San Antonio Spurs. I think it was the 4th pick in this year's draft. He averaged 14 points a game, shot 42% from the field. He also was very impactful defensively. Only shot 28% from 3. However, he was clearly the best rookie this year. He was Rookie of the Year. If that guy ever develops a 3-point shot, I think he could be an all-NBA caliber talent. He's a really good player. Big building block for the San Antonio Spurs, who if they're helping next year with Wembanyama and De'Aaron Fox and Castle, just that alone, to me, makes them at least a playoff contender. And you're adding guys like Keldon Johnson, Devin Vassell, and if they add anybody else, Spurs should be a dangerous team next year. And Stephon Castle wins Rookie of the Year for San Antonio Spurs. Let's go into the NHL playoffs now. Last night, the Ottawa Senators shut out the Toronto Maple Leafs 4-0. They stay alive another day. They cut the Maple Leafs lead down to 3-2. Maple Leafs were up 3-0. Toronto is 1-13 in elimination games since I don't even know what year. I literally said on this podcast, I told all my Maple Leafs friends, I messaged on every social media place you could possibly have. Leafs are up 3-0. What could possibly go wrong? If they blow this lead, they may be the most cursed franchise in sports. As cursed as the New York Jets are, and you want to throw whoever else in there. Whoever else you want to throw in there. Los Angeles Clippers maybe. Leafs might be number 1. If they blow this lead. At this point, I don't know what to say. Their team is really good. They're great offensively. They were much improved defensively, and with their goaltending as well this year. And if they blow a 3-0 lead to the Iowa Senators, who are not a bad team, they came in red hot. They're in the playoffs for a reason, but just at this point, if you blow this lead, it's time to pack it in. You need to do something completely different because your franchise is simply cursed. Hurricanes beat the Devils 5-4 in overtime. They win in 5 games, and they advance to the Eastern Conference semifinals. Kind of predicted this was going to happen. Devils have a lot of injuries. Carolina's a more experienced and just better team and much healthier. Carolina wins in 5 games, and they knock out the New Jersey Devils out of the postseason. Vegas Golden Knights beat the Wild 3-2. That gives them a 3-2 series lead. That's been a really good series, back and forth. Vegas wins that one 3-2. And then Oilers over the Kings 3-1. Now they take a 3-2 series lead in that one. So Kings went up 2-0 and have won next three, of course, this is their fourth time facing off. I picked the Edmonton Oilers to win that series when a lot of other people picked the Kings. Kings went up 2-0, but Edmonton have come curling back. And pretty much start to finish were in control in that one. And they lead 3-2 in that series, pushing the Kings to the brink of elimination once again. And tonight we got Canadiens and Washington Capitals at 7 on ESPN. Game 5, Washington leads 3-1. Florida Panthers and Tampa Bay Lightning on ESPN 2 on 7:30. Game 5, Florida leads that series 3-1. Got 9:30, St. Louis Blues and Winnipeg Jets on ESPN. The series is tied 2 games apiece. Blues have won the last 2, after Winnipeg won the first 2. Of course, Winnipeg won the President's Trophy. However, St. Louis Blues, they came in red hot. At one point, they had a 12-game win streak late in the season, and they have tied that series up by 2 after going down 2-0. And the Vancouver Canucks have parted ways of head coach Rick Tocchet. He was there about 2.5 years. I know there's been a lot of drama that's happened this year. Obviously, that led to a trade with JT Miller. Brock Besser and Elias Patterson were in trade rumors pretty much all season. And there was rumors that they were going to move on from him. Something like he had pretty much lost the room. He's only there about 2.5 years, and he had a contract option, and he decided, I'm going to move on. And the Vancouver Canucks will now look for a new head coach. Rick Tocchet is out in Vancouver. To finish up today, I'm going to start my NBA offseason preview series. I'm going to start it now. We're going to start with teams that have already been eliminated. We're going to start with the very, very bottom of the barrel, starting in the Eastern Conference with the Washington Wizards, who were the worst team in, actually the second worst team in basketball. The Jazz ended up actually losing more games than them, surprisingly. Wizards only won 18 games this year. Another horrible year for them. The most irrelevant franchise in sports. I do think they're starting to kind of develop a core. You've drafted a couple of guys very high. You took Alex Sarr with the second pick this year. You took Bob Carrington high the year prior. Year before that, you took Koulibaly very high. I think Koulibaly and Carrington were top 10 draft selections. Sarr played pretty well this year. He's very good defensively. He flashed a little bit offensively. His offensive game was always really raw coming in, needing a lot of work. But he averaged 13 points a game this year, was impactful on the defensive end. You had Koulibaly, who's kind of like a similar kind of thing, as well as Bob Carrington. You have 2 young guards there, or Koulibaly's a little more of a wing. Carrington's more of a guard, but they're all really young. Sarr's only 20 years old. Carrington's only 20. Koulibaly's only 21, so you have some young pieces there. Bunch of vets over here as well. Marcus Smart is 31 years old. You have him. He has not produced too much this last part of the season after they trade for him. He's had a nice career. He's an impactful player on defense, a bit of a streaky shooter on offense, but he's always hurt. Has not played a lot of games the last couple of years. Rashawn Holmes is another vet you have. He's a solid big to have on your team. I do like Jordan Poole. He had a very good season. He was the guy that broke out when the Warriors won that championship a few years ago. Got that big contract, and then obviously had the fight with Draymond Green, which kind of throughout his career. He ended up really regressing over the last couple of years, but bounce back year from him. He had a good season. I don't think he's a lead scorer or a number one option, but as those 2 or 3, I think you can survive. Got Corey Kispert there as well. Both guys are only 26 years old. Kispert's a good shooter. He's not about three-point shooter to have on your team, but not a star by any means. There are a few pieces here. Sadiq Bey isn't a bad piece to have. He's still 26 years old. I'm interested to see what Chris Middleton does with that player option. It's worth $34 million. I can imagine he wants to be in Washington. He is 34 years old. That being said, he already has his championship. He does not really need to ring chase, so to speak. And also, I do not think he will get $34 million or even that close to it on the open market. So maybe he just takes his $34 million, hopes that either he gets bought out or traded at some point in the season, and then just rolls with what happens next year. But there are a few young pieces here. They really need like a lead guy. If they can get Cooper Flagg in this draft lottery, they can get the number 1 overall pick. That would benefit them greatly. But a few pieces there. Sarr, possibly Koulibaly, possibly Bob Carrington. Sadiq Bey isn't bad. Corey Kispert, same thing. You have Jordan Poole there. So the core is kind of starting to develop. I don't hate what you have at the head coach spot with Brian Keefe. And you have, like I said, a couple of veterans there, Marcus Smart, Rashawn Holmes, if Middleton comes back. However, I mean, this team has been bad for a while now, as long as I can remember. Even when they had, like, John Wall and Bradley Beal, their ceiling was basically like a 47, 48 win season, losing in the first round. So, but the core's slowly, very slowly developing. However, a lot of work to be done. Like I said, what they're going to do this offseason is hope and pray that they get number one overall back and take Cooper Flag. And the last thing I'm going to cover today, and then we're going to close this thing out, is the Charlotte Hornets. What's next for them? So the big thing is what do you do with LaMelo Ball? This year, his 5-year, $230 million extension kicked in. I think LaMelo Ball is a great player. He actually, stats-wise, had the best year of his career this year. He averaged 25 points a game. He averaged 7 assists. His three-point percentage was a little bit down. Shot 33, almost 34%. I think he's like 35 or 36 for his career. It was 35, almost 36 a year prior. However, the guy is always hurt. He has never played a full season in his NBA career. He has not played more than 47 games that he played this year, besides his second season in the NBA, where he played 75. The guy's just always hurt. He is still 23 years old. You know, he's been in the league for 4 or 5 years. He came into the league really young. He's still only 23. However, I just don't see this guy ever really being a guy that can lead a team. He's a great player. He's a really talented scorer, great passer. Bit of a streaky three-point shooter, but he's also not a bad defender as well, especially at the point of attack when the guys come up the floor. However, when you don't know if you're going to get 40 or 50 games out of the guy, it's really hard to count on the guy to be a top dog for you. Well, the guy on the market for him, I mean, he's 23 years old. He's an all-star level player. He's under contract for another 4 years. However, he's making $50 million a year on average. That's his AIV. I mean, he's due almost $38 million next year. In 2027, he's due $40.7 million, $43.5 in 2028. In 2029, he's due $46.3 million. You see a trend there. So, I mean, 23-year-old all-star point guard under contract for 4 years usually is the guys would give up the moon for him. However, if I'm there too, I'm like, I don't know, this guy hasn't played 50 games in a season in 3 years. I don't know. But I do think they should look to move him, and if I had to guess, he will be moved. I just don't know. Like, if you asked me a year ago, I would have thought one of two things. He either is going to figure things out health-wise, and the Hornets are going to be like, he's our only, outside of Brandon Miller, a legit building block piece. We got to keep this guy. Or he was going to always be hurt, and he just would have no value, so you might as well keep him. However, at this point, you have to get something for him, I feel like. Because at this point, you're so far away from winning, there's no point of paying a guy that talented the amount of money that he's making if he's going to play 45 games a season. There just isn't the point. As for what else they have, there isn't a whole lot else here. Kind of similar to Washington. Pretty relevant franchise. It's been bad for a long time. Similar thing, the height that they had was when they had Kemba Walker in his prime. Maybe the year or two that they won 45 games and were the 5 or 6 in the East and lost in the first round. I think Brandon Miller's a great player. He's only 22 years old, but another guy, he's got to be able to stay on the court. However, only played in the league 2 years, so he's still figuring things out. But I was the second pick in the draft a couple of years ago. A lot of people, including myself, thought maybe you should take Scoot Henderson, but that's worked out in their favor. He's clearly the better player. However, I think he needs to stay healthy a little more. However, I do think that's a great player. Josh Green's not a bad piece. Still only 24 years old. He's a nice 3-and-D guy to have. I don't hate Grant Williams. Another guy who struggles with health. They have a streaky shooter from beyond the arc, but a very good perimeter defender. Decent three-point shooter. You got Miles Bridges, who probably shouldn't be in the NBA, but here we are. He's a solid piece. He averaged 20 points a game this past year. He's a solid scorer. He can shoot a 3, decent defender. He's a good player to have. He's a solid third option. I like the talent of Trey Mann. He's still really young. Didn't play a whole lot this year. But I mean, he averaged 14 points a game in the games he did play. Only played 13 games, though. I do like Mark Williams. Obviously, looks like he was about to get traded, and the trade falls through with the Lakers. He's a pretty solid scorer from the inside. Very good rebounder. Isn't great defensively. He's a really good athlete. Great lob threat. Like I said, inside the paint is dangerous offensively. Really good rebounder, but just is not great defensively. However, he's a very good athlete. He's a solid big, I'd say, overall. I didn't like them taking Saloon with the 5th pick this year, or the 5th or the 6th pick, whatever they had. I thought that was a bit of a reach. But still only 19 years old. Did not play well in his first season, but still only 19 years old. Only played a season so far. We will see what happens. And that's really all they have. I mean, they're stuck with use of Nurkic. They took on extra picks to bring him in. He's got another year next year at $19.3 million. We'll see if they move him or buy him out, or if they keep him for now. Other vets on the roster, it's far and few between here. You got, I guess Seth Curry's 34 year old. Well, Seth Curry's going to be a free agent, as is Taj Gibson. All those guys are giving you much anyway, especially Taj Gibson. But, yeah, this is another team that probably what they need is Cooper Flagg, and he is a top dog like that. However, at least this team, you have Brandon Miller. Josh Green isn't a bad piece to have. Neither is Grant Williams or Miles Bridges for that matter. I think Josh Okogie's a nice defender to have. He's a really good defender. There's just really giving me anything offensively. I don't hate Trey Mann, Mark Williams. So again, the core is slowly, very slowly forming. You have something there, but not a whole lot. And I really think they should look to move LaMelo Ball. I just don't see that guy ever, being. I just don't think that guy's body is ever going to really hold together. Something else might be hurting him. I don't think he's a 1 in this league, and he's a 1 on this team just because the rest of the team isn't good. If you trade him to a legit contender who can use him a little more properly as like the, the guy you can kind of rely on as more of a facilitator. You put him out there with a couple of legit other pieces, and he doesn't have to carry the load as much. Maybe they'll help his health. He'll maybe at least give you 60 or 70 games, hopefully, opposed to 40 or 50. I think that will help him. So I do think he will be traded. I think it's best for both sides for LaMelo Ball to be moved in the offseason. But that's all I got for you guys today. Tune in tomorrow. Until next time, so long. Have a great day.